Continue a falar.
That's way simpler than Paimon imagined. Even Paimon could probably do it.
Well, there's a little more to it than that, of course. The hardest part of this trick is controlling the audience's mood and reactions. That takes an exceptional degree of showmanship. There's the falling dummy, the miraculous reappearance, the pompous performing. Maybe the magician would even have themselves tied up before it begins to strengthen the impression that there's no escape. Many days and nights of careful research and painstaking practice would have gone into this, all culminating in a performance just a few minutes long, but one that still manages to transform the shock and grief of a tragic accident to the joy and laughter of a mesmerizing magic trick. Caesar was a highly accomplished magician, but unfortunately, even he didn't manage to pull it off.
So, how did it go so wrong? You said you found some fishy stuff here. Have you figured out what really happened?
I can make a pretty good guess. I looked into the case files. The magic box Caesar was using at the time of his death had the secret button I mentioned positioned on the right-hand side. And sure enough, he always used his right hand as his dominant hand in public.
Okay. Nothing suspicious there.
But here's the strange thing. Most of the devices in this workshop have the mechanism on the left-hand side, including this box right here. Which leads me to believe that Caesar was in fact left-handed.
Não estou entendendo bem. Por que o César fingiria ser destro?
Because a magician can't afford to have their most basic habits stand out too much. People naturally focus their attention on the most important details of the task or situation at hand. But a magician needs to be able to redirect an audience's attention at will so as to avoid arousing their suspicion. The essence of magic is getting people to believe a lie. If even the truth raises eyebrows, the falsehoods become all the more difficult to mask. And so, Caesar trained himself to use his right hand to align with his audience's expectations. Great magic always requires sacrifices. But in his most stressful and nerve-wracking moments, and when no one was watching, reflex would kick in and he'd use his left hand. That's why he set his gadgets with the mechanism on his left.
E alguém usou isso contra ele.
Exactly. I think that's likely what happened. Caesar would have been under a lot of time pressure during the escape. He'd have had mere seconds to open the hidden compartment, retrieve the dummy, then open the secret door and make a swift escape. But I'm sure he was confident. He would have rehearsed countless times to the point where it was second nature. He'd barely need to think about what he was doing because muscle memory would guide him through. So he opened the compartment, took out the dummy, checked everything was in order, and then went to leave. With his left hand, he reached for the button, and suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. It wasn't there. Much like when you reach for your keys but find your pocket empty, his mind needed a moment to process what was going on. Instinctively, his left hand would keep feeling around for the missing button, maybe for another second or two, until the bottom of the box gave way. With the stakes being as high as they were, just a 2-second delay cost him everything. The authorities would find nothing suspicious and conclude that his death was due to his own error.
When in reality, someone switched the boxes, and they did it to murder him.
Foi o Lorenzo, cara,
How would
claramente.
they be able to make the switch without being noticed? That would be difficult to pull off, no?
It would have to have been someone who knew that he was left-handed and who could move his props around without arousing suspicion. Someone who was always by his side. Isn't that right, Lorenzo?
Ó, o Lorenzo já tá aí.
Let sleeping dogs lie, could you? There's not a lot of people who'd go to all this trouble for some magician who died 10 years ago. I didn't want to have to do this, you know.
Ele acha que ele pode vencer da
Silencing you the hard way just
Cintia,
creates more problems
loucura.
for me to deal with. But I gave you your chance. I hoped you'd do what's good for you and back off like the lady, but you disappoint me.
You mean Gemma? So you are the one who's been threatening her!
Yes, although however stubborn she might be, she was never much of a liability. But you people, you never even knew him, but for some reason you just wouldn't drop it. Which is why you can't leave this place alive. Take them out.
De novo eles, pô. Vão tomar um pau de novo.
Do your worst.
Não entendo, cara. Não cansa de apanhar, né? Por que eles acham que vão vencer alguma coisa aqui, velho? Eu tenho a mesma dúvida. O que passa na cabeça deles, velho? Que vão vencer alguma coisa, né? Procurar Shogun, vou bater com ele, ó. Olha ele como apontando o dedo. Ei, vê alguém diferente aqui, ó. Toma. O 5 aí, ó. Viu que dá pra usar 5 personagens? O jogo que fica de baguncinha. Dá pra usar 5. Porra, queria ser mágico desse jeito, né?
You kids are tougher than you look.
Had enough yet, Lorenzo? Your cronies can't help you now.
Vai ser preso.
I think it's high time you started talking. And what I'd really like to know is, why did you murder Caesar?
Inveja.
For every time you said that man's name. Of course you idolize Caesar, everyone else did. But I was the real genius magician. Me! He was just an amateur who did cheap tricks for gullible children. I was the one who made magic into the fine art it is today. The aristocrats doffed their hats to me!
So it was jealousy.
Jealousy. Hatred, more like. I hated Caesar. All he cared about was his magic. He lived and breathed it. He poured everything into his street performances and his stupid tours like it was just a hobby to him, never bothering to think about Mora. What sort of fool devotes their life to the art of deception and never has a Mora to show for it? But the people loved him, didn't they? Oh, how they looked up to him. No one gave me a second look. All I ever heard was, "Oh, your master's amazing, isn't he?" Amazing. Yeah, so amazing that he was completely broke. Every other apprentice was living it up at their master's expense, but no, not me. I put in all the work, mastered all the skills, and it brought me nothing more than the life I already had.
E é por isso que você matou ele? Por que você não foi embora?
He forbade me from using magic to trick people out of their Mora. There was nothing he hated more than that. And with his reputation in Fontaine, it was too risky for me to go it alone. As long as he was alive, if I dabbled in my own brand of money-making magic, he would expose me and it would destroy me. I had to kill him. There was no other way. He had to go.
And this was your only motive?
It was reason enough. What other motive would I need?
Well, I was under the impression that there might have been other factors at play. For instance, maybe you were in love with Gemma, but she was engaged to Caesar.
In love with Gemma? Don't be ridiculous.
Guess I was wrong about that then. Next question. Are you the Phantom Weasel?
I am.
Achou.
Caesar was so strict with me. He insisted that his way was the right way, that the sole purpose of magic was to bring joy to the world. I never bought into any of that. I was more interested in the practical value of magic. Sure enough, it helped me fill my pockets with all kinds of valuable treasures.
Dizem, a Doninha Fantasma não diferenciava entre ricos ou pobres.
Oh, yeah! Charlotte told us that the weasel would steal whatever people valued, no matter how much it was worth.
That's just how it looked from the outside. What would any thief want with second-rate loot? I've only ever targeted high-value items. I stole cheap things as a way of practicing my craft. It was other people's overactive imaginations that conjured up the preposterous image they then dubbed the Phantom Weasel.
So that's the story, huh? Well, I hope you're ready to tell it all over again during your trial.
What choice do I have? You're a pack of wolves, and you've got me between your jaws. You've seen what's here, and my last-ditch effort to stop it getting out has failed. What else can I do? So be it. I've enjoyed power and wealth for the last 10 years, the likes of which Caesar could never give me. I wouldn't choose for things to end this way, but I regret nothing.
Very well. In that case, I'll contact the guards. Traveler, Paimon, keep an eye on Lorenzo for me. I'll meet you just outside the workshop when I'm back.
Claro, fica de olho. Ó, ganhei um baú. Cadê o baú? Ih, achei. É da oficina. Lorenzo.
At least I can finally stop looking over my shoulder now.
Finalmente posso parar de me preocupar. É, leva ele nas costas, cara. Pô. De bobeirinha aí, velho.
Lily has told me the whole story. Lorenzo, do you confess to the murder of Caesar and to framing him for the Phantom Weasel's crimes?
Confirmado.
Look who's finally developed a conscience. What kind of disciple murders their own master? I hope it was worth it, because there'll be hell to pay.
Looks like it's all over. What should we do next, Lenny?
Ele deve fazer um show, é mesmo. Ah, a cutscene vai ser o show.
Let me think. Let's rendezvous with Lynette and Gemma first. With Lorenzo in custody, Gemma will no longer have to fear for her safety.
Good point. We should go tell Gemma the good news right away. It'll give her some peace of
Ou
mind for
irritá-la
sure.
mais, né? Acalmar, talvez ela se sinta mais calma porque não vai ter uma preocupação, né? Porque antes os caras estavam ameaçando ela, então... Na teoria agora talvez ela fique calma. Ela não tenha... É, não sei. Ô, vocês ficaram aí até amanhecer, velho. Loucura, hein?
Ah, you're back.
Voltamos.
You're so quick. I've only just finished my third dessert.
Your third? Lynette, come on, we've talked about this. Everything in moderation. You're not gonna have any room left for dinner now.
Janta? Ué, tá errado essas horas
It's
aí,
fine.
velho.
I'll shift to exercise mode and jog off the excess sugar.
That's besides the point. Well, it's done now. But try to eat a more balanced diet in the future.
Point taken.
Did everything go okay?
Explica tudo pra ela.
Of course. Lorenzo was no match for us. The guards are taking him into custody as we speak.
Gosh, that's amazing. I'm sorry. I still didn't know if I could trust you, but now it seems I can. I had my suspicions about Lorenzo, but
Nossa, ela tá triste.
It's okay. We understand. He did threaten you. Paimon would find it hard to trust strangers in your position, too. But you don't need to be scared anymore. Everything's gonna be okay.
sorry. Sorry. My emotions are all over the place right now. I've been waiting for this day to come for so long. I always wanted to report Lorenzo. He took all of Caesar's property, which I found suspicious. But I had people watching me all the time, so I couldn't risk looking into it. I was so afraid. I was scared he'd do something terrible to me, and then no one would be left to visit Caesar's grave. So I never had the courage to speak out. Thank you all. Truly. Thank you so much.
É nóis. Seguindo a sugestão de Lane, todos vão para o cemitério para anunciar a apreensão. Cemitério, né?
For clearing Caesar's name. I never would have guessed that Lorenzo was the real Phantom Weasel.
Agora vocês
He never
sabem.
showed any signs that there were problems between him and Caesar in public. From the outside, it looked like they got along great. And to think that lowlife's been living life to the fullest all this time, while Caesar's name was getting dragged through the mud. It's a travesty. At least his soul can finally rest in peace now, thanks to your efforts.
If only I'd realized before it was too late.
Don't blame yourself, Gemma. This isn't your fault.
Yeah, you still have the rest of your life to live. Caesar wouldn't want to see you spending it feeling guilty.
Cheer up, Gemma. My brother's doing a magic show at the Opera House tomorrow evening. Would you like to come along? It might raise your spirits. This show will be a special one. We're holding it in Caesar's honor.
In Caesar's honor? Really? Thank you. I'll be there.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Traveler, Paimon, don't be late.
Claro, eu estarei lá agora.
Don't worry, we'll be there. No way are we gonna miss out on a free magic show.
Gratuito ainda. De graça.
Wait, Paimon feels like we're forgetting something.
Não estamos esquecendo.
Oh yeah, Caesar's diary! We never found out if the two kids Caesar taught magic to were Linny and Lynette or not.
Sim, vai, sim. É até 6 horas. Com esse mouse aqui falhando, não vamos nem chegar lá. A dúvida, eu tô clicando, não tá falhando, o que tá acontecendo? Aqui. É até as 8 horas, né? É do próximo dia ou desse mesmo dia? Não, já tá tarde. 10 da manhã. É às 8 horas. Será que era do mesmo dia, cara? Dura, hein? Eu sei que era 8 horas.
No one's joined me on an adventure in
Pô,
ages.
espera até o dia seguinte, é 6. 8 horas já tá terminando, cara. Porra, vou ter que dar outra pimbada aqui, velho. Eu passei do dia, cara, era 6 horas. Se eu boto 6 horas, dava. Eu botei 1 hora a mais. Dura, hein? Acho que termina aqui nesse. Assista o espetáculo. Acho que eu não. Será que eu boto outro? Eu não sei. Acho que eu termino aqui. Tipo, estou no próximo, hein? Se for curto, eu boto tudo aqui.